This video is a continuation of video 8. Before I start with the beginning of the all, and the cave, I feel I must say something about the beliefs of many, which are untrue, regarding Jesus and the Son of Man. Why would the disciples of Jesus ask him the following? After all, he is talking to his disciples. Even though the disciples could see Jesus, why would they ask Jesus the following? From the Gospel of Thomas, in verses 37 to 41, quote, his disciples said, "When will you become revealed to us, and when shall we see you?" End quote. The disciples were obviously not referring to the flesh, or avatar Jesus, as Jesus was standing there plainly in their sight. So, what were they referring to? It was the Son of Man. You never hear the churches teaching the difference between Jesus and the Son of Man, but instead pretend that Jesus and the Son of Man are one and the same. And continuing with the verse, quote, Jesus said, "When you disrobe without being ashamed, and take up your garments, and place them under your feet, like little children, and tread on them, then will you see the Son of the Living One, and you will not be afraid." End quote. The Son of the Living One is the man-child, whose name is Inus, and is spelt iota, nu, iota, sigma, in Greek, meaning a man-child. What is Jesus referring to here? Surely, he is not telling us to walk around naked. Jesus is referring to turning away from your human body, and follow life, the real self. The avatar is like a garment. And continuing with the verses, Jesus said, "Many times have you desired to hear these words, which I am saying to you, and you have no one else to hear them from. There will be days when you will look for me, and will not find me." The other sad thing is, the churches teach, the day of the Lord is the second coming of Jesus, and the coming of the Son of Man, all are one and the same event, which is a straight-out lie. They are different events involving different components. The second coming of Jesus took place 2,000 years ago, involving the resurrection. The coming of the Son of Man has been taking place daily over the last 2,000 years, involving the light, which is the life of God, and the birth of the man-child. And the day of the Lord is not referring to a single day, but instead many days. It's like saying in the day, or days, of the dinosaurs. Now, back to the beginning again, and the formation of the first world, before any universes were produced. You no doubt have heard of Plato's analogy of the cave. It is close to what the first experience was, but not exactly. The first experience self-awareness had, was to search outwardly from a conceptual source, which involved what we refer to as the Z-axis. Here is an animation showing what took place. First, the Z-axis was rotated about the source to appear in a side view. Then rotated about the origin, to trace out a circle, having an outer rim and an inner, appearing as a two-dimensional disk. This disk is often displayed behind the head of humans, in ancient religious art. Then the disk is rotated into the Y and Z axis, so the disk is seen edge-on, and in the same maneuver, the previous Z axis is viewed, presenting half a spheroid. If the inner of the two-dimensional disk is removed, we get a half-spherical cavity, which we can look into like a shallow cave. Awareness soon, by changing the line work on the face of the disk, representing the cavity, it could change the appearance of the cavity. Even though awareness was only able to see the foreground of anything. By applying line work representing concepts, was soon able to write or draw on the face of the disk, producing the illusion of a three-dimensional environment. But in reality, we are looking at a two-dimensional projection, we believe to be our universe or reality, but is only virtual reality, being displayed in a display register of our own terminal, referred to in ancient writings as the soul of a massive network involving the processing system of life. It is the subroutines of the program, involving kinetics, that reinforces the experience of a conceptual, dimensional world involving touch, smell, taste, and interactions between images. Our eyelids allow us to see the worldly experience, or the processing system of life. With our eyes open, we see our worldly experience on the face of the disk, and with our eyes closed, we can observe the processing system of life on the same disk, and interact with it. If we lay down on a bed, and with your eyes closed, experiencing deep relaxation, visualize a large X in your vision, stretched out to the limits of your field of vision. It will appear as black lines. If your eyes are looking straight ahead, with your eyes closed, the intersecting lines of the X will be in the center of your vision, and if you move your eyes, the intersection of the lines will shift accordingly. Our eyelids allow us to choose to look at either the worldly experience or the processing system of life. With our eyes open, we see our worldly experience on the face of the disk. And with our eyes closed, we can observe and interact with the processing system of life on the same disk. This is known as the Day of the Lord, the judgment on all humankind, where you discover the difference between the world and life, the real self. It is not about condemnation, other than choosing life, the real self, over and above the human body. Life, the real self, is the observer, observing the Father from the white end. The Father is the black end. This is the face of God, a geometric face. Some refer to it as the face of the deep. Note, in some of these drawings, I show a dark disk on a black square face. While looking straight ahead, with your eyes closed, you can see the square corners protruding out from behind the dark disk. Darkness involves light. Both black and white, when mixed, there is no contrast between black and white, which appears as gray. From an ancient manuscript titled The Dialogue of the Savior, it is written in verse 127, quote, "And if one does not stand in the darkness, he will not be able to see the light," end quote. From the book of Amos, in the Old Testament writings, in chapter 5, verse 18, quote, "Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord! To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness, and not light." End quote. The Hebrew scribes have corrupted this verse. Darkness is the two components of light, both black and white mixed together. It is the living one that is the light, and not the world, which is virtual reality. When you have succeeded in displaying that X in your vision, it can then be manipulated into the following. These are visual exercises you can practice for the next stage of accessing the books. There are two ways we can do this: 1, directly, or 2, through the use of a video interface, which can be used for many different applications, such as for communication, or entertainment, or controlling transport devices, either on the surface of a planet, or interstellar travel, or searching the permanent libraries for any manuals on anything, or manufacturing, or importing objects into the environment. In my next video I will explain more about direct access to the processing system of life.